Hey guys, it's Hink here. So boy, do I have a good one for you. Guys, everybody wants a bigger flaccid PP. I mean, it's like what you see in the locker rooms. It's what you see when you go to urinal. It's what like you're most used to seeing. It's what you see in gym shorts. It's almost gray sweatpants. It's important to have a lot of guys care about that, especially those that are the growers. Hashtag Acorn Gang. Today, we're going to go through basically the real science behind how you can enlarge your flaccid penis. And we're also going to put in a tier list to talk about what are going to be the most effective and even the safest and most efficient ways to increase your flaccid size. You don't want to miss this today, guys. Before we get going, guys, just do me a favor. Leave a thumbs up on the video. It means a lot. And if you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing. Also, guys, we have to make this disclaimer that there is no correlation between whether or not you're a grower or a shower and the actual size of your erect penis. If you have not seen my videos on growers versus showers, please check that out after this one. So the first thing we're going to talk about is suspensory ligament surgery. Now, guys, you have to understand the suspensory ligament is actually what supports basically your penis, what connects it to your pubic bone. Guys, what this surgery literally does is it actually cuts that ligament and allows basically your penis to hang down more and gives the illusion of it actually appearing bigger, like you can see in this actual scientific excerpt that Callie's going to put up here. You can also see in these graphs from the actual literature on it that, yeah, it does actually increase the size of your flaccid penis by sometimes up to 2, sometimes even 3 centimeters, depending on how much of a grower, how much of a shower, or how tight that suspensory ligament is. Now, guys, I'm going to put this in F tier. This is a horrible surgery. Nobody can get it. Number one, it's not permanent if you don't do it correctly, meaning you can actually cut your suspensory ligament and it'll grow back. Not only will it grow back, it'll actually scar. You can actually end up with a shorter penis than when you started. Number two, your suspensory ligament is key for stabilization, so you're not just out there like flopping around. So if you cut that ligament and you're flopping around during sexy time, okay, you could actually end up with a penile fracture. There's also the risk of surgery. There's a risk of infection. There's scarring. You're going to have a permanent scar in that area. And there's some cosmetic issues you need to consider, and especially things like infection. And most importantly, there's no erect gains from this. Now, I know this is a flaccid tier list, but ideally something that you do, especially something like a surgery, is going to give you actually erect gains. F tier, don't do suspensory ligament surgery. So next we're going to talk about actual penile fillers. Guys, anytime a filler is injected, number one, it's going to increase your girth. So that's going to instantly make your flaccid penis look bigger. And number two, the added weight from whatever you inject in there is going to actually make your flaccid penis hang lower. So without a doubt, fillers are going to increase the size of your flaccid penis. But it's important to denote what type of filler there is. I have a whole video breaking down like all of the penile enlargement surgeries. Check it out after this if you want like a deep dive, okay? This is more like a cursory view, like an overarching view. So there's hyaluronic acid, okay, guys? That's like typically when you think about lip fillers. The problem with it is it can leave these nodules, and these nodules are very unsightly, especially if you have them on your penis. It might look like you have like HPV or something. Overall, it is a pretty safe and well-tolerated method. Sometimes you can do something called an autologous fat graft, where they literally will take fat out of like your abdomen and inject it into your penis. Guys, never, ever, ever do this. There's something called a fat embolism. Here's a clinical article talking about how a guy that dies from a fat embolism from having fat injected into his penis. Never do that, guys. It's why women die from BBL surgeries. It's the same thing. Also, guys, just like hyaluronic acid with the fat grafts, it's not permanent, okay? You're going to have to, like, it'll last several months to several years in some cases, but you're going to have it reapplied. And of course, guys, you can get like this lumpy coagulation of either the fat or the hyaluronic acid, whatever it may be, that just does not lead to a good cosmetic outcome. So never do a fat graft. What about the PMMA fillers, okay, guys? It's basically like a semi-permanent filler based on these little collagen microspheres. So guys, here's a paper we're going to pull up here, and it actually looked at over 700 men, and the satisfaction rate was relatively high, and they actually gained about 3.4 centimeters, okay, or about 134% increase in flaccid length, guys. Only flaccid length, no erect gains. But guys, in this study, the problem is there's a 20% dissatisfaction rate. It can take up to 3 months for the effects to take place to get the results you want. And guys, all of these techniques are so dependent upon the surgeon that does them, okay? And especially when you're using those PMMA, guys, if something gets botched, you have to have literally surgery to remove it, okay? A debulking surgery. And guys, for the love of Christ, I'm going to put up a paper here. It's a case report of all of these different like necrotic and infected penises that in some cases have to be removed because of injecting things like silicone gels or oils or stuff that you should not be injecting. So for Christ's sake, please do not inject anything else into your penis. Overall, what do I give fillers? Especially if you use the safer methods. If you're just talking about enlarging flaccid size, I'm not gonna lie to you, like they're very good, guys. Like you are going to have an instantly bigger hog. Now, I do think there's major drawbacks. Number one, there's like surgical risk, infection risk, cosmetic outcomes risk. You're going to have it repeatedly done if it's something like hyaluronic acid. So for those reasons, like I'm tempted to put it D list, but it's like immediate. It's pretty efficient. I'm going to put it actually a C tier, guys, when we're just talking about flaccid size, not to mention the girth increases that will be visible with your erect size as well. But guys, I would never recommend fillers or injection. There's also other procedures you can get like CoolSculpting or liposuction. I'm not going to waste a lot of time on this, guys, but it's just going to basically reduce your fat pad and it's going to allow you to have more visible penis. I'm going to put this in D tier because if you are obese and you just have liposuction just above your penis, that's going to look really weird. And on top of that, instead of getting the benefits that you would get from like exercising and losing weight, like improved cardiovascular function, etc., it's just done through surgery. Of course, there's infection risk. There's other risk from the procedure. So guys, like that's a D tier. Don't do it. However, it is going to make your flaccid penis look bigger, and it's going to be pretty immediate after the liposuction because you don't have that fat pad covering a large portion of your penis. So what about the Penuma implant or a silicone implant, a silicone sleeve implant, guys? Like, please don't do this, guys. There are so many complications. Literally, guys, it just like wraps around your D. It looks like you're like one of those like Koopa Troopers from the old Mario movie with like a little small head because your glands hasn't increased. Your shaft has got a lot bigger. There's complications. A little implant can poke through. However, guys, like, I'm not going to lie, is it going to increase your flaccid size? Like, it is. You know, here's an excerpt from a paper here showing that there was like a 52% increase in flaccid length and a 40% increase in flaccid girth. So it is going to pretty immediately increase your size. But guys, if you're a smoker, you can't smoke for like 2 or 3 months before or after the procedure. You can't ever masturbate normally again. You have to be very sensitive with it. And once again, guys, there's some major cosmetic difficulties. And if it goes wrong, you have to go through a procedure to get it removed. You can end up with scar tissue, guys. It is not a good procedure. This is going to be F tier as well. Once again, if you want to deep dive into Penuma, check out my penile enlargement surgeries video. Oh, and that doesn't even mention the cost, which is upwards of $40,000, and insurance does not pay for it. Next, we're going to talk about pumping, okay? So we're going to be moving away from the surgeries, using an actual vacuum erection device on a regular basis, using an actual routine. Guys, this is S tier of S tier. Now, the first week you pump, you're probably not going to notice a dramatic increase in your actual flaccid size. However, I would say within about certainly 3 to 4 weeks, your flaccid size is going to increase dramatically, guys. Like what you can see in this article is that it can actually literally dilate the chambers of your penis up to 2-fold, guys. So up to twice as big. Now, that doesn't mean your penis is going to be twice as big as it otherwise would be, but it does mean you can have some dramatic increases in size. When you stretch out those chambers of your penis, they're going to be able to hold more volume even in a flaccid state, which is going to leave you with a bigger flaccid, okay? The other thing that often accumulates when you use pumping, especially if you do it for too long or too much pressure, is you will accumulate edema. Guys, the more edema means the more like water in your penile tissue, so you're going to have a thicker girth and it's going to hang lower because of, gravity. And guys, there's actually published literature to back up, especially when you're talking about flaccid size increases. Now, I know, guys, this isn't the best literature because this paper is about Peyronie's disease, but in this paper, they literally prove that the flaccid size increased from just the use of the vacuum erection device alone. If you haven't seen all my videos on pumping, guys, I have an entire pumping playlist. But I think it's very safe, especially compared to almost any of the techniques that we've discussed so far and we're even going to discuss. There's actual published literature. There's actually medical knowledge about how it works, why it works. I have several videos breaking down exactly based on science how long to pump for, the total duration, the total set times, the actual pressure to use. We're literally holding it down to an exact science, or at least I am. For all those reasons, this is S tier. And not only that, literally acorn gain comes from the fact that when I would do exercise or if it would be cold outside, my D would literally be the size of a little tiny acorn that would sit on top of my nuts. Ever since I started pumping, I still have like a nice, big, heavy flaccid, no matter, like I could hop off of an hour-long bike ride and I would still have a nice, heavy flaccid. And if you are interested in a high-quality pump, guys, of course, peakmalephysique.com is literally the pump that I use. It has a gauge so you can see exactly what you're pumping to. And it's the same pump that I've been using for over 2.5 years with no issues whatsoever. So if you're interested, check it out. So next we're going to talk about the P shot or PRP, where basically, guys, they centrifuge down, they take out the platelet-rich plasma, and they inject it into your penis. So there's not clear evidence that this will increase the size of your penis whatsoever, certainly when we're talking about erect size. However, by injecting volume into your penis, most people, at least anecdotally, report that they have some increase in their penis size. I'm going to go ahead and give this a C tier just because there's not true medical literature. It's temporary at best. However, you can have some pretty dramatic improvement in erection quality by using the P shot, but it requires multiple injections and it can be quite expensive. I would put this on C tier, and if it were between like trying PRP or trying fillers, I would definitely try the PRP, the P shot first. All right, guys, so what about extenders or hangers or, these traction devices that are going to put tension on a penis? Guys, there's very clear evidence. Most of the time they're measuring stretched flaccid length, but one can infer if you're increasing your stretched flaccid length, your flaccid length is going to increase. But there is this paper here which literally showed that flaccid length does increase when you use an extender or hanging. There's published data. It's largely safe. It's pretty well honed down science. Once again, I have several videos where I talk about things like, do you need to take a break? Or like, how many days a week can you do it? And I break down these papers going through like all of the extender data, especially when you're talking about length. And it's very well tolerated. It's safe. The only problem is it typically requires somewhere between 30 minutes to 6 to 8 even hours a day. Okay. So it can be very time intensive. However, you are going to get an increase in both length, flaccid length, and erect length. You get double the bang for your buck. There is not going to be any growth changes from using these devices, and it often takes up to 12 weeks to see the results. But guys, definitely an A tier, okay? If you got the results faster, I would probably put this as an S tier. But once again, we're just talking about what is going to be like the fastest, best, most efficient way to increase your actual flaccid length. So I'm going to put extender as A tier. Hangers as well, A tier. And guys, yes, we do have both hangers and extenders on peakmalephysique.com if you're interested. Now I'm going to talk about what I love, my manual stretches, guys. So that's when you basically, instead of having a device like an extender, you use your hands to actually manually stretch your D. Guys, I have several videos on like manual stretches, including like my full manual stretches guide. Is there any literature on it? Yeah, there is kind of, okay? This paper here combined manual stretches and pumping, which is literally the routine I recommend. And it actually had very impressive results with, over an inch in length in about 3 to 6 months, but it combined it with pumping. Now, that being said, guys, if there's clear evidence that extenders work through traction, then you can deduce that it's going to work through manual stretches. However, I'm not gonna lie to you, for a lot of people, they don't like manual stretches. It can be less efficient. Your hands can cramp. And then because there's more variability, because maybe somebody doesn't know how hard to pull, doesn't know how strong they are, let's go Hink, then it can leave some room for injury. So for that reason, I'm actually going to put this as B tier. Now, guys, I've talked about the science on extending, pumping, and even manual stretches. If you want to learn how to get bigger, both flaccid and erect, through me actually breaking down real science and actually going through the techniques and everything that you need to do even before you get started, please check out my enlargement course, guys. The link is in the description. Over thousands of guys have literally bought this, and it's changing lives. You could be one of them. I know I sound like a salesman, guys, but I literally gained over 1.5 inches over the span of about 3.5 years, and it's transformed my life, hence this channel. So if you're interested, check it out. So next, guys, we're going to talk about PDE5 inhibitors like Viagra or Cialis. Here's a paper here that shows that you can see a 1.8 centimeter difference in size by using these medications by maximizing your erection quality. When you have these PDE5 inhibitors, you're going to have increased penile dilation, you're going to have better blood flow down there, and you are going to get a bigger hang, period. I'm still going to put this as B tier because yes, it does work. Yes, it's going to give you a bigger flaccid for sure, but it's temporary. It does lead to erect gains, but you have to have repeated use. And depending on if you're using Viagra, which has a half-life of about 4 hours, or Cialis, which has a half-life of about 17.5 hours, it's not like it's going to last all the time. What I mean by that is if you use an extender, you're going to have a bigger flaccid basically permanently. If you pump for long enough, you're going to have a bigger flaccid permanently. If you just use Cialis, when you stop taking the Cialis and the half-life gets out of your system, you're going to go back to your normal size. I have to put this at B tier, but it is very safe. It's very effective. You're going to see erect benefits with it as well. And guys, if you haven't seen my video on all the athletic and like literally muscle protein synthesis fat loss that comes with Cialis, please check out my video. So it's a wonderful medication, in my opinion. Do your own research, talk to your doctor. But I can't in good faith put this as A tier, so B tier. So what about supplements, guys? So supplements are fantastic. Citrulline also is going to increase that nitric oxide pathway. It's going to allow more blood flow to your penis. But there's no way it's going to be as effective as something like Cialis or Viagra for most men. If you're a young, healthy guy in your 20s, you should not need Viagra or Cialis. If you're going for like erection benefits or even potentially like flaccid hang benefits, citrulline-based supplements should do the job. And guys, you already know that's why I formulated our VIGOR supplement, okay? It's an Amazon choice, literally #1 selling supplement because it's so damn good for both gym workouts and erection quality. So once again, if you're interested, check out the link in the description. Along with that, you could also have something like beetroot. Beetroot would be for guys that are concerned about herpes outbreaks. I don't think beetroot is nearly as good as the citrulline L-arginine, especially a combination of the two. That's why I didn't include it in the supplement at all. But for guys that are worried about herpes, it is an option for you. So I'm going to put this as like a B- tier because you got the erection quality benefits. It's safe. It's easy to get. Let's leave it at B tier. For all those reasons, just B tier, Callie. Now, guys, weight loss. I can't stress this enough. And like, I do get pissed off just thinking about it because there's so many guys that would not have the insecurity issues, the size issues, any of that small penis syndrome if they would just lose weight. It literally has been proven on clinical trials that your self-worth and your self-esteem, your self-confidence is increased when you lose weight and you get leaner. One of my friends on Reddit told me, the smaller the plate is, the bigger the steak is going to look, okay? Like, look at these two pieces of pizza. They're the same size, but when you have a little teeny plate, the pizza looks massive. Jonah Hill, take a look at just the size of his head proportionally, or his arms to the rest of his body. When he's morbidly obese, his head looks small and his little arms look like, well, you know, I'm not trying to fat shame or whatever, but they look like little pin arms. But then he loses that weight, he loses that fat. His arms look nice. They even look like long, for example. And his head looks, I mean, you could argue it looks big, but at least looks normal size. It doesn't look small. Like, you guys would be blown away if you got peeled. Now, I'm not saying it's healthy to be peeled, but if you guys got down below 10% body fat, not what some people think is like 10% body fat. I don't even want to like flex, but like I'm at like 12, maybe 13, 14% body fat. And you can see like very clearly like my ab definition, guys. The point is, it's life-changing. And not only that, but you get the benefits of overall health from losing weight, because I don't care what any freaking plus-sized body positivity person says, it is not healthy to be obese, okay? One could argue it's not healthy to be overweight either. But guys, S tier, weight loss, S tier, okay? You're going to lose the fat pad. There's evidence that for every 25 to 50 pounds loss, you can gain a ½ an inch to an inch in visible penis length. It is an incredible way to increase the size of your penis. S tier all the way. This is the top of the S tier, even above pumping. And guys, we're talking about cardio. So just doing cardio alone, let's not even say you lose weight, you're just doing cardio. It's going to keep your heart in better health. And there's clear evidence, like this paper here, that it actually improves erection quality. When you have better heart health, you have better blood flow, your flaccid penis is going to hang lower, hang longer. Now, that being said, it's not going to be nearly as dramatic as losing weight and nearly as dramatic as some of these other options. So I am going to put just like cardio as far as the B tier. When you do, especially hard cardio, oftentimes your blood is diverted to your muscles. And so you're actually going to get an acorn gang by the time you finish working out, especially if you're not doing something like pumping. And so guys, what about jelqing? It's like literally when you take, I don't want to repeat the action on here just because YouTube is weird. But if you don't know what jelqing is, look it up, okay? It's like a manual exercise. Now, guys, that's dangerous. I can't tell you how many guys, I literally had a client call today for 30 minutes on my patreon.com/DonKing, where he literally broke his penis from jelqing. One time is all it takes. But it is going to dilate the chambers of your penis. You are going to get a bigger flaccid from jelqing, but it's very dangerous. So I'm going to put it as a D tier. Lastly, pelvic floor stretching. You have your bulbous spongiosus muscles and your iliocavernosus muscles. Callie's going to put up a picture here. When those muscles are constricted, they don't allow adequate blood flow into the penis, and they're going to make you have a small, hard flaccid, which is where literally hard flaccid syndrome comes from. So by stretching out the pelvic floor, you're going to allow better erections, and you're also going to allow better flaccid hang. In general, this is not nearly as efficient as some of the other ways. I do think it's important in health, but like, do I think it's going to be like a revolutionary thing if you start pelvic floor stretching alone as far as increasing your flaccid size? Yeah, maybe, but it's not going to be that dramatic. So I'm going to put this in C tier. So guys, hopefully you found this video helpful. If you did, please consider liking or subscribing. I think pound for pound, the best thing that you could do, especially is if you want to maximize your flaccid size, is a combination of losing weight, cardio, some sort of manual traction, whether it be like manual stretches or extending or hanging, and a combination of pumping. I guarantee you, I don't want to like show off, but like literally my flaccid size has tripled in size. Like not even joking a little bit, okay, from doing those things. Now this has been over 3 years, but guys, you can do it too. If you are going to engage in any kind of enlargement activities or try to increase the size of your flaccid penis, I strongly recommend my safety stack. It's safeguard to prevent things like fibrosis, and if you do have fibrosis or scarring, even Peyronie's disease, it can help to slow down and even reverse that process. Our shield, which is going to maximize your nerve function, prevent nerve damage, and even increase sensitivity in a good way for those that have suffered sensitivity loss. And of course, guys, our vigor we already discussed. That's going to do it for this one, guys. I really appreciate you guys. I love you guys sincerely. Remember, there's nothing wrong with self-improvement, but you are enough just as you are. All right, guys. Peace and love.
Dr. Hink got the plug on the health, yeah. Got you thinking about your wealth, yeah. In his office, no stealth, yeah. Pinnacle of that below the belt, yeah. Checks and balance, he's managing. Working miracles, no damage. Got you covered, no panicking. Steady calm. In the clinic, no vanishing. Yeah, with Doc Hink, it's the way back.